So hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Dee and this is Through the Pages with Dee. So today I want to talk about a book that I've recently finished called The Book of Accidents by CHUCK WNDIG. I'm going to review this. I'll try and do it spoiler free, but you never know, I may end up doing that, so just be warned, I may end up throwing in a small spoiler. Not because I want to, but just maybe accidentally, because the fibro is playing up a little bit today. So this Book of Accidents by CHUCK WNDIG. Here's what the cover looks like, and that is the author there, CHUCK WNDIG. And it has been said by Stephen Graham Jones that the dread, the scope, the pacing, the turns, I haven't felt all this so intensely since The Shining. So that is quite a big thing to say, because obviously The Shining was wrote by Stephen King. I have to admit, I myself very much enjoyed this book. It does have reminiscent parts, very much like Stephen King, and I will say this does offer slightly more than what Stephen King has. I have very much enjoyed this book. It's got twists and turns at every point. The characters are amazing. So let's go through the characters, shall we? We start this book off quite early with a serial killer, so we get into that quite soon. The serial killer is called Edmund Walker Reese, and he is about to be electrocuted right at the beginning of this book for killing 4 girls. And these 4 girls he has basically killed in what is meant to be sort of cult representation, so to try and make the world a better place, which is how he's convinced that he's doing this. Edmund is convinced that he's going to make the world a better place if he kills these girls, and that is being spoken to by powers greater than himself, and this is something that he just has to do. So on that principle alone, it drew me in. Anything to do with serial killers, call me macabre, call me sick, call me whatever you like, I do have a keen interest in serial killers. So I very much enjoyed that. And then we move on to this family, and it's the Graves family. So we've got the dad, Nate Graves. Then we've got the mum, who's called Maddie. And then we've got the son, Oliver. Now, these 3 are the main characters within this story. So we're following along in their footsteps. So it's a 3 POV kind of book. And we are following along through the story with those 3 characters. So we start with Oliver. And he's at school, and there is a drill, a lockdown, kind of a drill for that. And he wets himself. He's very emotional, Oliver. He runs on his emotions. He has this ability where he can sense and feel people's sadness, and he just basically wants to relieve them of it. So that's who Oliver is. Then we meet his dad, called Nate, and Nate is a police officer. And they are actually living in a town, in a city at the moment. Nate has a father who is very abusive towards him, who liked to be violent towards him, and we find out that Nate's father is actually dying. And there is an offer made to Nate over the ex-family home that Nate grew up in, that he can buy it from his dad for $1. Whether or not he's going to go through with that, you'll have to read the book. Then we meet Maddie, the mum, Oliver's mum, and Nate's wife. Maddie is an artist, and she too has some sort of powers about her. So it's very kind of supernatural, this book. There's a huge element of supernatural in here, which I don't often take to, because it can be a little bit kind of unbelievable. And sometimes it's not written very well. It can adapt quite well to screen, but sometimes when you read supernatural, it doesn't necessarily read as well as you'd like it to. However, I do have to say, in this book, it reads very well. CHUCK WNDIG has done an excellent job within this book. I absolutely give this book a 4.5. It's amazing. And his characters, like I said, are superb. So we have some sub-characters as well. So Edmund Walker Reese is mentioned quite often throughout this book. He does play quite a very prevalent part. He has quite an influence in some sections of this story. Then we also meet a character called Jake. Jake becomes quite a focus point in this story. I won't say why, but Jake has quite a lot to do with what's going on. Then we also meet the neighbours. Now, the neighbours are to do with the father's home, and Jed is the neighbour. And we meet Jed, and Jed is a man on his own, of quite some years. He's not pensioner status quite yet, but he is of quite some years, and he is an author himself, and he does write about supernaturals, cults, things like that. So he too plays a prevalent part within this story. He is somewhat of a help, but not completely. He has information that can help the Graves family, but he's not entirely to be trusted. Let's put it that way. So, and then we also have Fig, who becomes the new partner to Nate. Nate was a police officer and changes his job to something to do with kind of forestry, like for fish and game, that kind of thing. He's like a ranger, and Fig becomes his new partner. So I won't go into as to whether or not the family takes on the father's home, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about the book, but what I will say is that it is very, very captivating. Chuck Wendig has done a fantastic job of taking supernatural and making it something quite unique. Now, if you like sci-fi elements, there is absolutely some sci-fi within this, and it blends very well with some of the kind of horror that's within this. I don't know how else to say, but he's done an amazing job of blending genres to create this kind of horror, mystery, sci-fi, creepy, eerie, supernatural kind of story that takes you down this path, this journey, to where you do catch on that it's going to be that way. It is explained in the book. It's not it's hidden for a little while in relation to Oliver, who is predominantly the one dealing with the things. So it is based around Oliver. Mum and Dad have their parts to play. So like I say, it is a 3 POV. However, the majority of it is to do with Oliver and his emotional foresight that he has with regards to people, and the importance of Oliver as a character. So there is a relationship between Oliver and Jake that evolves, and it's through that relationship that everything starts to go a little bit awry. But prior to that, as it says in the synopsis, Nate and Maddie have actually forgotten some elements of their past. So their pasts actually play a big part within this story. So it is quite a lengthy book because there is a lot going on in here. But it's not one of those, I'm just going to put it down. It's not one of those where it's waffling. It's not a waffle book. Everything is prevalent to the story. I didn't find a single part of this book non-relevant. I found everything relevant. I found everything fitted to the story. I found everything just made the characters grow even more and make them more interesting. It just evolved the story in different little ways, but then Chuck was able to bring those lines back in again and make them have purpose, make them have use, make them relevant to the story. So it is an exceptional book. I just picked it up on a whim. I liked the sound of it, the Book of Accidents. It caught my attention. I've never heard of Chuck Wendig. I was just in W.H. Smith's and I spotted it and I thought, that sounds quite interesting. Read the synopsis. Doesn't go into too much detail, which I like. I like the book that doesn't have a great big synopsis at the back, so it end up basically telling you everything there is to know. It's like when you see a film trailer and it shows you all the good bits. Sometimes book synopses do that. They tell you all the good bits so that there isn't a surprise when you actually read the book. However, that isn't the case with this book. It's very briefly outlined in the synopsis in regards to Nate and Maddie, but and somewhat to Oliver, but everything is a surprise. There's lots of, like I said, twists, turns, things that you didn't see coming, things that you do see coming, but even though you do see them coming, it doesn't spoil the story. I am a big hater of spoilers that spoil. When you read a book and you have for some time seen something coming and then it inevitably plays out that way, that disappoints me a lot of the time. I like to be surprised, I like to be shocked. But when it's done in such a way as this has been done, I very much appreciate it because it shows the planning and the foresight that the author has gone into. So I have to say, kudos to Chuck Wendig. He has done an amazing job. Does he match up to Stephen King? I would say an absolute yes. I have read quite a few Stephen Kings. The one I haven't read yet is The Stand, so I am going to get around to that at some point, I think this year. But this has been outstanding for me. I found it hard to put down. I wanted to get through it. I don't mean that in the bad sense. What I mean is I was captivated by the story, so I just wanted to keep reading. And like I say, he's done an amazingly fantastic job of blending genres such as sci-fi and horror and mystery. So it is so good. I highly, highly recommend the Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. I would say if you haven't read any Chuck Wendig, give this a go. I know he's done a few others, and I'm definitely going to be looking into more of his work, but definitely give this a go. It was so good, and I would love to see it adapted into a film, so long as it stays true to the actual book as much as it can. It would make a great horror film to me, because it's got that little bit of a sci-fi element, so it would be something just that little bit different. So yeah, I really enjoyed reading that. And then just as a slight catch-up really, because it's been a while since I've put a video on, that is going to be the case now. I'm not sure if I'm going to be uploading videos maybe on a Thursday, and that's going to be the thing, but they won't be like they were, which was Monday, Wednesday and Friday, purely because, as I have explained, Jocelyn is working full time now. She doesn't have the time to help me edit anymore. Sometimes I'm having technical issues with my equipment. It's not the most expensive equipment. It's not the best. But I'm not in a position where I can afford to get anything else. So it's kind of a hit it and try kind of thing at the moment. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's to do with the laptop. Maybe it's to do with the webcam. I don't know. But if for some reason I'm not posting, it could just purely be to do with technical difficulties, or it could be to do with my health. That hasn't been too great of late, so that's why I haven't really done as much as well. But yeah, as I say, Jocelyn isn't going to be as prevalent on the channel. She's got a full-time job now, and she's very much sort of into that because she's got a lot of responsibilities. So she's trying a new leaf, and it's everything that she's wanted. So my fingers are crossed for her that that works out exactly how she wants it to. But then yesterday, going to my other daughter Phoebe, none of you have actually seen her yet. She refuses to come on camera because she's actually quite shy. But it was her graduation parade yesterday, her graduation ceremony. Me and her sister went to that, and I am repping for that today with this jumper that I bought, which I'll just show you now. I've got to move the mic. And this is the Pride version of the University of Sheffield's jumper. So obviously with my daughter, my youngest girl, being bisexual, this is to support her and all the people who I know who are LGBTQ included. So I got the Pride version because I very much support anybody of that sexual preference. So yeah, that's what happened yesterday. It was a great day. I was kind of shocked. It was very, very quick. Wasn't very encouraging, I would say. I have seen American graduation ceremonies, and they are far more flamboyant and fun and celebratory than ours. I found ours yesterday a little bit kind of British, very kind of stuffy, and that quite a huge group of children didn't really get kind of the encouragement for what they'd just achieved. So I made myself prevalent and made myself quite loud, and shouted for Fee. We was told we could whoop, and I stood up and shouted for Fee. So I wanted to show people that, as did my daughter, that they've worked 3 years on this. They've worked hard. They've done 3 years solid of nothing but studying. My daughter has anyway. I know some children or some young'uns go to university and it's kind of party time. It wasn't really that for Phoebe. She knuckled down, she did her studies, and she came out with a 2-1. So yeah, it was it was a day for celebration, and I'm very, very proud of her achievements. Same as I am with Jocelyn. I'm proud of both my girls. They've done really well in their own ways. So yeah, that's where I was yesterday. I was in Sheffield supporting my youngest girl for her graduation. So yeah, guys, that's me. So as I say, it may only be that I'm doing one video a week. Plus, I'm starting to feel a little bit run down, I've got to be honest. I know I don't have a job. I don't work, so I can sort of do this at my leisure. But with my ailments, I sometimes get a bit sleepy in the day. So it's a little bit hard for me to put in a lot of time and effort. So today's been a bit of a rough day. And I did kind of fall asleep before because my medication will do that to me. So it's going to be one of those where, and also without the encouragement with Jocelyn as well, not that she's not encouraging me, but with her being focused on her job, I need to catch up on my reading. I've kind of slowed a little bit since the holiday. I didn't read at all on the holiday, so I'm quite behind in my reading. So if it turns out that it's just one video a week, I hope you'll be okay with that. I'm still going to be talking books because that's what I created the channel for. But it was starting to get me to a place where it was a bit like a job. But it's sadly a job that you're not getting paid for. So I need to focus more on what I'm going to do here. So it may be a case of that it's just one video a week. And I hope everybody will be okay with that. I'll try and keep the content fun. I'm going to try and make it so I don't have to do too much editing because I can do it, but I'm not the best at it. I'm not as good as Jocelyn was. So when we have technical difficulties and when there's faults and so on, she knew what to do. I don't. So it may mean that if it throws up problems that I can't deal with, there may not be a video because I don't know what to do with it. And I'm not going to ask Jocelyn because she's grafting, she's busy. So you'll just have to hopefully bear with me, guys. I'm not saying I'm going or anything like that, but it may be that there's less of me. But I'm still going to try my best and, as much as I can possibly do to at least do one video a week. So yeah, that's just explaining the situation a little bit because I've had a few lovely people sort of asking me, is everything okay? Everything is okay. I just need to reevaluate my situation and see where I can go with it and see what's right for me, really. So I hope that's okay with everyone. But I'm still going to do videos, but it may just be once a week where I bombard you with a ruck ton of information until I can see a reason financially wise to upgrade what I use. At the moment, that isn't prevalent to my finances to do that. So if this technology that I've got isn't working, that may just be a have to deal with it kind of thing because, you have to balance your finances as to what's important and what isn't. So at the moment, it's just a case of please bear with me. Like I've said in the last video that I did, please bear with me. I'm not necessarily going anywhere, but there are certain things that are there that aren't what they were before I went away. So it's just things are going to have to change. So I hope that's okay with everyone. If it's not, I understand that and you wanted more. At this moment in time, though, I'm doing the best that I can. And I think, so I'm not overwrought with filming videos and editing them, I'm probably just going to be doing one a week at the moment until I kind of suss that out, get better at the editing, etc. And catch up with my reading. So on that note, I hope you guys will potentially check out the Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. I am hoping to pick up sometime soon the Warlord Chronicles because I've been looking to read those for donks now for ages. Bernard Cornwell is somebody who I really want to read. I do have some of his books behind me, on the shelf behind me, but Warlord Chronicles are ones that I really want to get to. And I am hoping to pick up Boy's Life as well. I read Robert McCammon's Speaks the Nightbird, loved it, Absolutely loved his style of writing. So Boy's Life is, before I get to Queen of the Damned, I want to get to Boy's Life and read that. So other than that, hopefully I'll see you again next week, technology allowing, health allowing, my state of mind allowing. But other than that, enjoy yourselves, have a great week, have a great weekend, and I will see you all next time. Take care. Thank you for being here. Love you all. Bye bye.